So the stage just got a little bit less crowded. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham has just announced moments ago with a video that he put on Twitter that he will suspend his 2016 Republican presidential bid. The senator has struggled to gain traction since starting his campaign, despite being widely seen as the winner of several of the undercard debates. He has been he really ran for one reason in particular, and that was the fight, as he sees it, that we are in as a society and as a country against radical Islam, and how he believes that fight needs to be fought. It has been his strong conviction throughout the course of this campaign, and was, I think, really the main reason that he wanted to be on that stage, so that somebody would say the things that he was saying.
Yeah, his video runs 1 minute and 53 seconds. He concludes this by saying, "I'm suspending my campaign, but never my commitment to security through strength." And I remember the first debate we did in Cleveland back in early August. He had what I consider one of the most memorable lines of the night when he said, "They talk about a war on women," meaning Democrats. "I'll show you a war on women. You come with me to Iraq or Afghanistan." Pete Hegseth, the CEO of Concerned Veterans for America, and a Fox News contributor. And Pete, just touch on, when you consider how much of a hawk Lindsey Graham has been, along with John McCain side by side, his absence in the race does what, do you believe, in this war on terror?
It probably doesn't reshuffle the political deck all that much. He hadn't had that much support. It's unclear necessarily where it goes. But I need to say a word about Senator Lindsey Graham, who, as someone who served in Iraq, who's known Senator Graham for almost 9 years. In 2007, when the Iraq War was in its deepest, darkest days, there were very few men. Lindsey Graham was one of them, John McCain, Joe Lieberman. They were called the No Surrender Caucus, that were there saying, we must win, we can surge, we can succeed. And I'll say that means a lot to our generation. And he's carried that fight on. A lot of people disagree with him, whether it's domestically and working with the White House or being too hawkish in some of his stances, but he's never, ever, ever wavered in his commitment to the troops, to those who serve, and to victory on the battlefield. So he'll be missed as far as that voice is concerned. Where his political support goes, I'm not sure.
Do you think the debate is lessened when it comes to taking the fight to them, however? When you don't have a voice as strong as him? He would take almost every answer and pivot it back to the war on terror, pivot it back to the fight against ISIS, pivot it back against al-Qaeda.
He did, and in every question he would say, if you don't think we need 10,000 troops in Iraq, then you're not serious, right? Setting a high bar, the highest bar of anyone in the campaign, of what would need to be done to defeat ISIS, and really forcing other candidates to articulate either what they would do, how many troops they would send, or why they wouldn't send any. So, you know, from Lindsey Graham to Rand Paul, the debate is only enriched by having those voices on the stage, and then the facts on the ground determine who the American people are going to want to be their commander-in-chief, and what the real sentiment and appetite is for American leadership and American involvement. But for Lindsey Graham, he was always clear and he was always honest, and you got to give him that credit.
And on that point, in the very beginning, if memory serves, I think he favored 10,000 ground troops between Iraq and Syria. Then later it was up to 20,000 ground troops. I don't know of any candidate who has signed on to that specific number, as you just referred to. In your estimation, Pete, is that the way to defeat this enemy?
Well, you'd point to the warrior class like Carly Fiorina talked about. I would look into a Petraeus and a McChrystal and a Mattis and a Keene and others to say what the exact number is. But what Lindsey Graham would articulate alongside a number is the need for American leadership, is the need for true American leadership. That's why a real coalition hasn't formed. That's why there aren't real other countries sending Arab boots on the ground. You can talk about boots on the ground all you want. They should be Arab boots, and they should be taking the majority of the fight, but without American leadership, that's not going to happen. So whether it's Lindsey Graham's 20,000 or less than that, it really is a true belief in American leadership that changes the game. And then you let the generals run the war without tying their hands in rules of engagement. I think that's part of the message that Lindsey Graham was trying to send.
Adam Schiff, a Democrat from California, was on with Fox News Sunday and Chris Wallace over the weekend. And a lot of this came up within the context of whether or not the administration is doing enough. And you know, the president's interview with NPR is circulating throughout the day today. This is what Schiff said about the administration's response so far as it dovetails into Graham's argument.
The pace is not going fast enough. I think we have to look for something to change the dynamic on the ground. And for me, that would be in the form of a safe zone or a buffer zone or a no-fly zone, something that can end the refugee flows, something that can give space and time to train up forces to take on ISIS.
As a Democrat, is he a rare voice?
Well, he is a rare voice. I would say Hillary Clinton has said the same thing, but then she equivocated in the debate as to whether or not she would actually enforce the no-fly zone.
Yeah, I get it,
well,
but
first we deconflict.
Sorry, Pete, but the beginning of his statement is what's significant. What he said was the pace is not going fast enough.
Yeah, no, I think that's a reality. And you've only got presidential candidates not willing to say it because the base of the Democrat Party is so against military action that they don't want to be seen as hawkish to that base when they know this fight. They've got to understand the anxiety of the American people, and they're way behind that right now. The question is, how do you catch up to that anxiety while being responsible in following through? You know, Hillary Clinton also talked about a political solution in Syria. That's why she said what she said about, you know, things are going the way we want them to. It's because of a Security Council resolution. The American people don't look to the UN Security Council and their resolutions for its security. They look to whether or not bad guys are being killed and we're securing our borders and the American military is strong. That's what they want to know. And right now, the Democratic Party is living in a fantasy land, and there are few voices like this that are willing to say, hey, we're behind the curve and the enemy is making progress.
And again, back to the major headline, Lindsey Graham is suspending his campaign. That's the official verbiage he's using, the wording. I have concluded this is not my time. So now you have one fewer person on the debate stage come mid-January for the Fox Business debate. So, Pete, thank you. Pete Hegseth, they're live in Minneapolis. We'll see you in New York again very soon. You got it.